Hello friends! How are you all doing today? I'm Jade the Kobold, and it's my pleasure to talk to you. It's pretty well known, if you've been following the channel for any amount of time, that I have a background in game design and a background in acting. But what I don't talk about as much, although every once in a while, is that I have a background in convention work. I've run one of the largest anime conventions in the world for the past 20 years. So I know a decent amount. As well as attending everything from expo conventions like the Consumer Electronics Show or E3 before E3 became open to the public. I actually was able to attend a couple of E3 events pre-public, which I can talk about that entirely. That's an entirely different subject, but an interesting one that I have strong opinions about. And even I was a bit flummoxed for a little while when I heard that there was a convention going on in VR. And, like, there's that moment, there's just that one moment of how does that work? That one moment of me, that 1 hour of me, before I looked it up, trying to dissect what that meant. What it meant to have a convention running in virtual reality. And we're going to talk about it. The short version is that, well, actually, you know what? Let me see what their reg numbers were. I actually want to know, because I know it ended up being a lot bigger than I expected. That's actually something I ended up having 15,000 attendees and generating a charity donation of $22,000, which I believe went towards, pet shelters, I believe. Let me double check that. I believe so. But that's a not insignificant number, right? That is a lot of people. If you put that convention in most circles, that would be considered a very, very large event. Now, this was a global event, mind you, which both makes the number make more sense because you have reach across all continents, and makes it more impressive because you have to deal with that many people at the same time. Before we go too much further, I do want to say hello to chat. Hello to Autumn. Hello to Tori. Hello to Performance PC. Hello to Phantos. Hello to Sapphire. Hello to Tuzzy. Hello to... Wait, who else? Okay, looks like that's chat right now. Hi. Hello to everybody in chat. You're all wonderful beings, and I appreciate all of you. There's one, of course, elephant in the room, is that, am I a furry? I don't know. How's that for an answer? I consider myself as a VTuber more of a mascot, like, you know, not so much of a furry VTuber so much as a mascot VTuber. Well, at the same time, I have a lot of friends who are very much into it, and not gonna lie, the art's phenomenal. So, I consider myself, yeah, I think Tori pretty much nails it. I consider myself furry adjacent. I have always been on the fringe of the furry community. Whether or not I am a part of it is not something I really even care to think about, because it's not exactly a meaningful distinction, if you understand. It's a bunch of people who are interested in the same thing. Not that terribly different from... yeah, like Venji. Not terribly different from, say, the anime community or professional gaming, which I've also been a part of, or any of the numerous other niche conventions that have been out there. So what is Furality and how does it work? Well, let's start with how does it work, because that is one of the things that I find incredibly interesting. Right out of the gate, it works in VR chat. So they have an existing infrastructure. Closet Furry? Sure, why not? You know, I'm gonna... if you want to put that label on me, I'll allow it. I don't care. So it runs on the existing infrastructure of VR chat. If you're not familiar with VR chat is an application a VR social application. It's an application that lets you walk around in a VR space, talk to people, move with motion capture, as much motion capture as you have available. If you have a headset, it'll track your head movements, your eye movements, everything you're doing. If you have room space, it'll track your entire body space as you walk around the room. If you have full body tracking, it can track up to 12 points. Head, hands, waist, knees, ankles, and I want to say elbows and hips too. Or I said waist already. Shoulders? I don't know. You can do full body tracking, complete full body tracking in it. Everything you've heard about Facebook talking about Meta, they've been actually just describing VR chat and yet doing it worse. And yet just straight up doing it worse than VR chat has already done it. I genuinely think VR chat is a fantastic application. So they're running on the backbone. They already have the backbone of an existing program. And they're creating private rooms in VR chat. And those private rooms are the convention spaces. And in those private... I assume that they contacted VRChat directly and told them they were organizing this because, you know, it'd be very polite to do that when you're working on somebody else's servers. And I'm sure that VRChat was glad to do that because that meant that everybody who was was running it was going to be tempted to go for their premium options. But anyways, you have the existing infrastructure. How do you manage that infrastructure? In VRChat, you're allowed to have private rooms. I'll start talking about the actual convention itself in a little while, but I want to talk about how it can exist, what allows it to exist. And a big part of that, I think specifically for the furry convention in general, is that apparently furries are very much into VR chat. VR chat and furries go well together because you can choose your body. You can choose your body. I know for a lot of trans people, you can choose your ideal body, and for a lot of anime enthusiasts, you can choose your favorite character. For a lot of video gamers, you can choose whatever character you enjoy playing as your persona. And for furries, you can choose your fursona. You can choose the image of the species or race or whatever it is that you want to be. In that regard, VRChat is the second coming of Second Life. Absolutely, 1000% agree. VRChat and Second Life have a lot in common. That is absolutely true. But the existence of VR adds so much depth to the experience, because by existing in VR, you solve the immersion problem, right? Oh, and I will also say you can play VR chat offline, out of VR. You can play VR chat just on your desktop. It'll play like a first-person shooter, except instead of guns, you just are walking around and can talk to people, much more like Second Life. Does it have a third? It might even have a third-person mode if you're not in VR. Don't quote me on that though. I could be wrong. So, VR chat allows you to have private rooms. And that private room system is what is the backbone of the convention. The private rooms are invite only. So, what does it do? When you sign up on the site, you are given a friend request from the convention staff, from the bot. It's a bot, from the convention bot. You accept that, and then when you go to the convention proper, you go by logging into the website, into the convention website, and you see this. Actually, let me put that above the chat. I apologize for hiding chat. This is what you have available for a few moments. You can explore, which is this page here. You can take a look at the schedule, and I'll get to the rest of it in a moment. To actually access anything, you must first log into the website, choose the area of the convention that you want to go to, that you want to attend, click on it, and then it will offer you to join and send you an invite link to your VR chat through VR chat. So that bot that you accepted the friends request from earlier, it will send you a join option, will send you a join request, an invite, to a private room that actually is not private, that is exclusive to the convention staff. Does that make sense? Do you follow? Awesome. Also, I didn't actually properly say hello, Zeta Mind. Hello, Tony. Excellent. So, the schedule was fairly robust and 24 hours. There was a 24-hour schedule. And your party is an option that lets you see all of your... lets you make a party. Lets you join a group of people who are going to be going to the convention together. That way you can join their instances so that you can join with friends, which is an important part. If you're going to a convention, you want to be with friends, with people you know. That's a big part of the fun. And then friends is... Party is just for the convention. For the friends here is a list of people who are just literally pulled from your VR chat friends list. From your VR chat friends list that is you can upload into Ferality so you can see where they are. If they are in Ferality, they keep a query of where all of their users are at any given time, and you can see where your friends are if they are in a convention room, in a convention space. You can check your own status, and there's the donation link. Because, of course, there's a donation link. There's always a donation link. Mine... Where's mine? Mine is the membership button, honestly. That's a thing. I also have Ko-fi. Ko-fi does exist, of course. I mostly use... I'm happy for everything. Anything you guys want to... Anyways. On to the convention proper. So, what happens when you join this? Well, where's layout? There we go. This happens. Well, okay, this is actually not the convention proper. This is me putting on my headset. In case you haven't noticed, I wiggle my head a lot. So let me just pause right now and drop a real quick, what am I even going to call this? Vertigo warning, I guess? If you've seen me stream for any amount of time, you see me wiggle my head. That's true. I just do that. I do not keep my head on straight. I just will... Wait. Oh boy, there's Vtube Studio crashing. You know what? That's fine. That's fine. That's good, actually. Don't worry about it. Okay. So, in VR chat, this room I'm in right now is in the Monster Hunter universe. This is actually the Monster Hunter world room that you can stand in. There we go. This is your private room in Monster Hunter. I just use this as my default home because, well, it's not terribly resource intensive, despite being an absolutely stunningly beautiful location. So this is my login screen. I'm logging into VR chat. I am... Hey, who's that with me? They go... Oh, that little... that's the loading screen for VTube Studio. Put on my custom avatar. If you don't know, I do have a custom VR chat avatar. You'll be seeing more of it later. It's a Orange Nova base, then custom edited by the illustrious Tori Floop. Here, let me show it off. I think I show it off. Do I show it off? I don't know if I show it off. I probably show it off. I don't remember. I recorded this. When did I record this? I recorded this on Monday. So, you'll go into your notifications menu. Wait, am I doing it now? Heck. You should have believed that you should have trusted me to organize this better, but, well, I didn't. Anyways. You go to your notifications, and there it pops, right here. Ferality would like you to join them in the main lobby. So you receive an invite from this bot account. You click that. Show it off? Okay, you know what? Sure, since people are asking. I'll pull this one up now. Shh, why not? Hi. Here's my 3D avatar. I have it, it exists. I don't break it out very often. For no particular reason. You just use it very often. Mostly just because setting up VR while streaming is a bit of a hassle. It's a bit of a pain. And yes, Tori was there with me for a lot of this. This is... Yeah, so I do have an official 3D model, if anyone was curious about that. I do not stream in it because... effort. I was gonna do one for the Go Godot game jam, but I didn't. Regardless. Aw, thank you. You guys are being nice. Pull chat up so it's not talking out as much. And now let's talk game design. It wouldn't be a Jade the Kobold stream if we didn't talk game design, right? That's what we do. So right behind you, when you walk in, if you turn around, even outside of streaming VR is a pain in the butt. It can be. I have a really nice setup because all I have to do is move a couple of things to the side and I have a nice area for VR. But yeah. So you get into the room, you turn around and you have your settings. If you're on the Quest or if you're on a lower end system spec-wise, you can turn off some of the features. Interestingly, it defaults to turn off the high quality sky, so I actually turn it up. Now let's talk game design. right out of the gate, your speed is limited. You can only walk so fast, and you must walk by these crystals. These crystals have a proximity trigger script on them to enable their shaders. You walk up to the crystals, and they start glowing. Okay, cool, nice. No question about where you're supposed to go. Very obvious direction, very obvious pathing. And then you walk here, and you see this. Look at that. Look at that reveal, that introduction, that windowing. Let me go back and show it again. Here, let me do that. Is it gonna explode? Did it explode? It might have exploded. No. So you walk past these things. And windowing is a technique in game design where you control what the player sees and how they see it. Instead of letting the player reach something organically, you show them from a specific angle. Uncharted does this constantly and to great effect, but more open world games do it as well, like the opening scene of Breath of the Wild or many scenes in Elden Ring. Despite how much of Elden Ring is given to you from a forced perspective, Elden Ring also does an excellent job of windowing and showing you the best possible viewpoint several times. Go back and watch some of the Elden Ring streams anytime you go into a new area and watch how it presents itself, and recognize how the game either forces you to see it from that angle or encourages you to see it from that angle. So here, the only way in is here. The fish running across is a triggered event that happens when you walk in, and you have no idea how many people I saw standing right here. There were always, every time I went into the lobby, a bunch of people standing right here in awe, just in absolute shock and awe at the beauty of the landscape. And for good reason. In 3D, in a virtual reality setting, this is a staggering moment. This is a stunningly beautiful moment. And then, this is just an open lobby convention space with people walking around and talking. Nothing even overwhelmingly surprising here, but a well-designed level. Lots of areas for people to walk around in, lots of areas for people to convene. It was not uncommon to see people convening in different areas around here, which was nice. You can't quite see it here in the recording, but the skybox actually does have a filter at the top that makes it appear as though you can see the surface of the water from below. It's actually very pleasant. They replaced some of the fish with these duckfish on the last day. And look at that. Look at that set piece. Absolutely stunning. Absolutely beautiful. This piece is just... I mean, I look at this and I see C from Final Fantasy XI, partially because, of course I do. I see Final Fantasy XI references in everything because I gave so much of my soul to that game. But... but let me show you the comparison point that I think of. It's different. I'm not saying, like, you know, they copied it or anything. I'm just saying that there's enough similarities that I can see an inspiration here. Just grab that picture. No, hold on. Let me convert that picture into a useful format. Who uses WebP? If you use web.p, I just want to talk. Seriously, why does that format even exist? We have the technology to make PNGs. Use it, friends. This is the scene that it is reminiscent to me of. It's the similar aesthetic with the spire leading into the sky, which in this view is a lot farther away, but the aesthetic of the open sea that you can walk on. It's not the same, but it's evocative of that to me. This is a beautiful set piece. This is a stunning piece. This is incredible. This is incredible. Do I need set pics? Because, you know what? Sure, yeah. If you could give me set pics specifically of the meeting area, those I'm missing a bunch of. And yeah, by and large, it is simply populated with people talking. And everybody was really friendly and outgoing. I must say this. I'm going to say this again later, probably. But this felt more like a real convention. This felt more like an actual IRL convention than the last 2 IRL conventions that I went to. I'm serious about that. Those last 2 being Anime Central and the Consumer Electronics Show in Vegas. Anime Central's in Chicago. Those are big, large conventions. This felt more natural. It felt more organic. It felt more real despite being in VR chat, which is weird. You have hidden nooks. Now, I love this here because you probably didn't see this, but I just beelined for it because I wanted to show it off. But aside from this beautiful open area, aside from that spire in there that you can, I will mention, you can climb on top of. You can actually climb that spire. That one here. You can actually climb this and jump to the top of that. Gravity settings were set low, intentionally, which, honestly, good idea. There's also nooks. Nooks that you can hide away and chat with friends with, and, well, it feels like finding a secret. It feels like finding a secret, which I will tell you right now, as a convention organizer, that's something that happens with conventions a lot. There are nooks and people talking in the least suspected areas. You'll find people gathering together in areas that aren't even technically part of the convention. You will find spillover. Let me open a thing so I can pull up what I'm being sent. You will find spillover. You will find a dozen people in anime cosplay at a McDonald's next to the convention. Because in a big convention, once you break 30,000, I think, I'm going to just ballpark that as a number. Once you break 25 or 30,000 people, you always will have spillover. And that spillover can just fill the surrounding city. Whether it's Baltimore or Chicago or, like, legitimately big chunks of Las Vegas. In the Consumer Electronics Show, it gets spillover from CES. You have business executives at craft tables all across the entire region. But yes, you will find in these convention spaces you will find spillover, and this right here fills that role. It fills the role of another spillover area for people who want to get together and talk, but don't want to be as social. They don't want to socialize as much as just being in the main lobby area. So this is a nook. They recognize this, and that impresses me. I am impressed by the fact that they recognized the need for nooks. Because that's not an obvious thing. That's not even something that I would have thought of off the top of my head if I was designing a convention space, because, well, in IRL conventions, which is my forte, it happens organically. The convention space just sort of organically fills, and other spaces where people want to find each other and chat just sort of crop up themselves. Some of them are obvious. If it's in a hotel, then other spaces in the hotel will be full of anime fans. If it's in a convention center, then the hallways around the convention center will be filled with just Trekkies or whatever it is. I'm most familiar with anime conventions. Like I said, I've run the anime conventions half my life. And in here they put the Artist Alley. The art gallery is in a very strange place. If I had one note that I didn't like about their layout, it's that the art gallery is sort of hidden beneath the main lobby. Art gallery is just a whole bunch of furry art. I have no idea how they chose it or how they picked the artists, but they do list all of the artists' names. I do particularly like that piece because, well, I like the anime style. That should surprise exactly nobody. And, yeah, so this is a little way of advertising. You know, if you are an artist and you can get your art in the Artist Alley, then you have potentially 15,000 people with their eyes on your work. And anybody who likes your work can easily look you up. I took several screenshots of, in the dealer's room, of artists and of game designers, actually. Like, legitimately, of game and level designers that I wanted to contact. I don't want to point this one out here. Not that one. I do want to point out this one back here because it'll come back later. This one here, this person just is their 3D model. They are not a 2D artist, they're a 3D artist. So they took a render of a model that they made and were proud of, and submitted it to the art gallery. And yes, I'm seeing here that the art was raffle entry, and that makes sense. I know that's how the dealer's rooms were, yeah. Safi likes the painterly anime styles. Reasonable. I mean, all of these are going to appeal to somebody, and they chose a good diversity of them, right? There's a lot of different art styles of artwork here, going all the way from like this really nice landscape and with a, almost like an oil brush aesthetic, all the way to your cartoony DeviantArt style. You know the one I'm talking about. And yeah, that's the lobby, and there's just people vibing. So, when people do vibe, they got a place to be. And I imagine for some people, this was the primary way of interacting with the convention. Not for me, but I respect it. I respect it from a game dev and from a design and from a convention layout. Like, everything about this is well handled. Now, I'm headed over. In that interim there, I went into the layout page. And I switched over to the club. They had a dance club up the entire time. The way I went there is I just went to this page in VR. I just went into my onto this website with a VR overlay, and clicked Club Fin, and clicked Join Room. That was it. That's all you had to do. So that's what I did. And there it is. There was one moment on Friday evening where the invite server failed. And that was a catastrophe, right? That literally meant that nobody could attend the convention. That literally meant the entire convention shutting down, and that is a major, major risk. They fixed it within half an hour, but I have to imagine there was nothing but screaming going on for all of the admins during that half hour. I actually don't know how large the staffing was. I actually would be really interested to know how large their staff was. Yeah, it was not long. They got it back up fairly quickly, which is good. So right here, you'll notice that there's not that. Oh, let me back up again. Right in front of us, we have our settings mode. We have low quality, default, and audio only with no flashing lights. And if we turn behind us, where settings is on every other area, it's not there. Settings is instead in front of you. Why is this? Well, in this area, it's more important. In most areas, if you go into the main lobby, you just walk forward, you'll be happy. You'll be happy as a clam. You don't need to worry about any of the settings. Whether you turn on the high render or turn the fish off makes moderate differences, but you can just walk forward and attend. In the club, as you'll understand very quickly, that how well your computer can handle the club is extremely important. And as soon as I walk through it, you can see I walked into a trigger box. Right here, you can see, as soon as I walk through the default settings area, I just walk into a collider, bam, the shaders of the entire world change. Now they're more detailed and allow for cool effects. If I had one other issue, it would be that this doesn't quite tell you that you should go to the left here. I think they could have easily done that with some more grass that leads the player's eye to the left. But regardless, this is all backdrop for their nightclub. I'm not much into clubs. I'm not much into dancing. I can't dance unless there's arrows in front of me. I play DDR. That's all as close as I get. But look at the aesthetic. They take the same theme and iterate on it. They have the theme of this beautiful underwater world, right? The theme of the entire event is under the ocean, this world beneath the sea. And how do you make a club there? Well, you add the club staples. Oh, I will actually mention the one thing interesting here. Let me finish my train of thought first. Then I want to return to this little port right here. You add all the club staples, your rave lighting, your giant speakers, even though there's no speakers outside of what's in your own ears. Your fancy dad layouts. They added a video track for all of the artists. They added a dancing avatar of all the DJs. The DJs, I assume, provided their own tracks and their own video, because these were unique across many of them, and their own avatar feed. But also, one thing I will say is that when you sign up for the convention, it does force you to agree to a statement that you may be recorded, you may be streamed, so technically I have permission to show everybody who's at the convention. I think that's a good idea on their part. I think that adding that to the end user's license agreement for the convention was good. I still checked with all my friends to make sure they were okay with, me showing pictures of them, but I like that. So, one thing that I want to point out that is clutch, one thing that is extraordinarily important. Do you see this little nook here? It's dark, it's hidey, it looks weird. The reason it looks weird is because this was a bar. And on the first night, they actually had a little bit more lighting here. I believe it was just shader illuminations on these, and a bunch of interactable objects that you could pick up and pour into glasses that were laid out on the bar. Sure, it's a club, it's a bar. Why not? Well, I'll tell you why not. You've already got a lot of things going on here. You have a lot of flashing lights. You have a lot of models, because these rooms were some of the most crowded. This room in here has a native capacity of 40. Now, when I say native capacity, what does that mean? This room... Okay, let me actually come back to that. So. They took out the bar, they took out the glowy bottles, they took out this section here. Why is that relevant? Why am I lingering on this? Why am I not just saying, oh yeah, they took it out for better quality? So that there was less lag. Because, ladies and gentlemen, that means that they can edit the worlds on the fly. That means that they can edit the worlds and add and remove components and re-upload them mid-convention. That's crazy. That's insane. That mid-event, they made sure that they had the capacity to rearrange and redesign, if necessary in this case, every single individual region in this convention. Every single one of these stage areas. Okay. So, these rooms have a capacity of 40, and it's a soft cap. That means that if you hit quick join, then you will go and join an instance that has less than 40 people. But the hard cap is much higher. The hard cap, I heard from a reliable source, is 80. Now, what's the difference? How do you get to the hard cap? You can join a friend's instance. Remember how I mentioned that before on the layout page? You can go up to friends and or party and find where other people are. If you have other people online in those sections, you will join them even if that room is technically above soft cap, above its listed capacity. And the actual hard cap was much, much higher. Now, I'm led to believe that they lowered the hard cap partway through the convention. And I'll explain why when we get to one of the other sections. But the hard cap for the club was at 80. So 40 people could join from quick join, and then up to 40 of those their friends or party mates or whatever could choose to join their instance as opposed to just joining a random lobby. Which is crazy. Alright. So you can have up to... they actually hit 76 at max load. They hit 76 people in this instance without the instance crashing. Now, I'm not into music. The only set I would have actually gone for would be the electro swing set, but I went to a couple of them anyways just to hang out with friends. I'm more of a I mostly listen to classical music and video game music. That's just my style. But even in here, I don't actually know if I show it off here, but even in here, again, there are nooks. There is a hidey hole, up here above the bar. You can see it in this shot. Up here, there is a balcony. Electro swing set was so good. If real talk, if those are actually available, if any of those sets are available on like a YouTube or something, hit me up. I'm curious about to watch them. I mean, obviously it'll be different, but I sometimes like music. So there's another hidey hole up here where people can break out, and you are further from the music sourcing, I believe, which means that you don't have to. You literally listening to it right now. Nice. Which means that you don't have to sweat being in the middle of a crowded club. And there's another breakout, which actually... No, I don't show. Okay. There's another breakout section that's farther away, where you can actually just see the club from a very long distance away. And... well, that's awesome. It gives people a place to go. It gives people a place to explore. Now I'm just waiting for an invite because it took a little while for the server to load. It usually took about a minute, I would say. It took about a minute for you to like this video and subscribe to my channel. I mean, it took about a minute for you to sign up to join a world and for you to receive the invite. Sometimes faster, sometimes slower, but that was the average amount of time, which is acceptable, right? That's completely acceptable amount of time. I would assume that they have a queuing system to make sure they don't get overloaded. So that if the 6,000 people join the same second, it processes one every second for the next X amount of time. I can't confirm that. I'm just saying that it seems likely. Tori, if you want to put it in... You know what? Yeah, Tori, if you would be so kind as to put the Electro Swing set into the Discord channel in channel discussion, I would greatly appreciate it. Or an artwork, whatever. By the way, we do have a Discord. We do have actually a very active Discord for the YouTube channel. And you should go hang out there. It's a cool place. It's a comfy place that's not just about a VTuber. A lot of VTuber Discords are just like announcement places for that one VTuber, and mine is very much not that. Mine is very much a community. Alright, so the dealer's room. This is the one room where I will constantly turn off the settings. You know what? If you can link all the sets to people, that'd be great. But I'm just interested in Electro Swing personally. But I mostly listen to classical music, like I say. Okay, so here I go back and even with my rig, I turn off all the extras. And again, windowing. The only way into here shows you this beautiful set piece as soon as you walk in the entrance. Magnificent, well handled. Now, how do you handle a dealer's room? What does a dealer want? What do you want at a dealer's booth? Well, again, I have actually worked convention in a couple of them as a dealer. Usually, I'm more in charge of licensing and convention area management, I guess is how you would describe it. But the dealer's room is important for two reasons. One, that's your secondary revenue source as a convention. The secondary revenue source is people buying dealer's room tables. After badges, that is what makes you money. And then after that is merch, right? Obviously. Because the dealers are going to drop... I don't know how much it was for this one, but in some convention spaces, you can have prices of between a $50 booth all the way up to, I believe last time I checked, last time I tried to book a CES booth, it was 7 grand. No, it's between 5 and 7 grand. Yeah, and that's a chunk of money. I know it was raffle, but I think it was raffle and the people who won had... I don't know actually. I don't know. But you want to make your dealers happy, because the dealers are also a reason why a lot of people show up, especially for anime conventions before anime became mainstream. A lot of conventions are for groups that are not mainstream, right? Your furry conventions, your anime conventions, your Star Trek conventions. Nowadays, video games, anime, and sci-fi are all much more mainstream than they used to be, which does inherently reduce the amount of people who need to get things from the dealer's room. It's also easier to get stuff from Japan, just to be blunt. You can get stuff from Japan these days. Back before, and even today, a lot of people go to the dealer's room at an anime con because this is the only place that you can get something. Whether it's a specific figure, whether it's a specific model, whether it's Good Shine is there and they have a convention exclusive, or Good Smile is there and they have a convention exclusive. There's something that's going to be unique at that convention. So how do you do this online? Nothing can be unique. Nothing can be unique. It's an online convention. This is, there's no NFT style scarcity here. So what do you do to make your dealers happy? What do the dealers want to present? And what they did is they gave each dealer effectively 5 things. 1, a wall. And you know what 2 is? I'll give you a guess. It's the other wall. But that's significant. That actually is noteworthy. Oh, there we go. So each dealer has 2 walls. And then, you might have missed it, and I think it should have been presented bigger, is a button that says, click to view this booth on the web. So you click button, and it brings you to their page. Things that make the dealers happy? Walls. Yes, absolutely. Except it's a little bit more than that. Things that make dealers happy is presentation space. Because that's what you're usually paying for in a dealer's room, is you're paying for the amount of space that you have to present something. Right? It's advertising space. It's functionally advertising space. So the bigger the wall that you can give somebody, the better. The happier the dealers are. This person over here is selling a model. Unity package, 5 species, outfit options. Honestly, like I said, this looks like, you know, something that you could use in game design. Like, real talk, if you want a fox model, I'll get to this part in a second. If you want a fox model, you could literally go here, hashtag not sponsored, and see, they probably have a option for licensing it for a game. Now, what am I looking at in the middle there? I'll tell you later. I think it's really weird that people dropped the QR tags. A couple people did this, and I don't understand why, because it's extraordinarily difficult to take to photograph a QR tag in VR. I don't know. Maybe it's a Quest thing. I don't know. And here you have somebody who used it to actually show pricing on one side and products on the other, which makes sense to me. So we have variations on that. Now, what do we have over here? How do QR work in VR? I don't think they do. I genuinely don't think they do. I think you need to take a picture of it and scan it on your phone later. That's the only way I can think of to do it. I don't understand the path of taking VR. So you have a billboard there. Now we have a section for 2D artists. And then over here we have a section for 3D artists. The 3D artist section is listed as avatar bases. These are people who made, well, models. Makes sense. This being an online convention space, you can buy models. This brings us to the other thing. You can see, you've seen a couple of them, and I'll highlight it in a moment, is you can put pedestals down. Now, pedestals are a unique thing to VR chat. In VR chat, there are avatar pedestals. It might be easy for those who aren't using a headset. That's true. That is true. And there were plenty of people who were not using headsets, for the record. So here's an overhead view of what the booths look like. You have these little squares all lined up in a circle around this one set piece. The set piece in this case is actually kind of useless, and I actually didn't see a single person up here. And the booths themselves, here's a good aerial view. It's just 4 walls, a banner, and a backboard, and yeah. They gave preference to the 3D artist over 2D. I can agree with that, actually, having been there. Okay, so in VR chat, that you can pedestal an avatar, and if you have a pedestaled avatar, you can change your current avatar into that avatar at the click of a button. At the click of a single button, you can transmorph yourself, so to speak. You can change who you are presenting as. Now, here you can actually see someone in the artist alley. I think I'll show them again in a moment. But this person is actually wearing the skin of that bird in the artist alley, because somebody in the dealer's room had it on a pedestal, and they said, "Hey, you can buy this avatar for $25 or 40. I don't know. Usually between $25 and $50 on average." And on the pedestal, you can say, "Hey, try it on." This is the equivalent of a changing room. Try it on and see how you like it. The pedestal also has a mirror attached to it. And in the mirror, you can take a look at it. You can move your arms. You can see how it looks. You can try it on, which is a really cool idea. Now, you might be saying, but Jade, all these rooms have a weird black wall that should be the most important wall. Why do all these rooms have a giant back wall on them? Well, I think I show it off pretty soon. At least I hope I did. Otherwise, I did a bunch of build-up for nothing. Oh yeah, one thing I will mention here is some people misused the walls. The walls were not terribly high resolution. They can't be. You can't have high resolution for everybody. It's just not viable. Because of the amount of textures that need to be loaded, as soon as you walk into this door, you are being slammed with 100-ish dealers' booths, each of which has 2 walls of content on them. You couldn't see this person's quality. Look at these prices. I don't have a fursuit, nor am I likely to ever get one. But if you are spending like $2,000 plus on a fursuit, you want to be able to look at the quality of it. You want to be able to inspect it, right? You want to be able to take a look at the fursuit and see how good it is. Now, these resolution pictures, you couldn't see. Even if you got right up close to them, there was no way of seeing how the quality of the product you were buying. Conversely, this person shows a face mask on a full-page picture. Conversely, oh, there's a cute thing. There were a few people selling IRL merchandise. I don't think I took a good picture of it, but this person is selling 3D models, like just 3D printed models that they can make for you. This person is selling enamel pins. And this person is actually selling plushies. Sure, why not? Then you just click on the link to go to their store, and you can buy from them. It's a lot of good diversity here. But the pedestals make a lot of sense for people who are selling avatars, and let's be honest, the majority of people here were selling avatars or edits to the avatars. Now, we're going to go into the avatar basis section. Walk by some random people, and you can see their pedestal and a good use of space about their wall. That person's selling like 7 avatars for 25 bucks. And again, quality and performance varies, but you know, some people like everything, right? There's no accounting for taste. I didn't mean to line that up, but you know what? Look, all I'm saying is, it's kind of cute. Now here we see that last piece of the puzzle. I took these videos on Monday. On Monday, most of the dealers' booths were closed, by which I mean the videos failed. Every single booth was allowed to have I want to say 90-second video that was running on loop. So when you walk into the booth, and I love the way they coded this, when you walk into the booth, it loads the video. When you walk out of the booth, it unloads the video. So when I walk into the booth, this video started playing in the background. And I was really thankful because I was trying to fish for... What? Oh, sorry. I was trying to... I think Goliath knocked something over. I think because I was trying to fish for somebody who was still active. So there's a video just playing in the background that allows you to show off your product. And that's brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant. Here's one that ran very well. Also, I like that there's a better up-close view of one of the pedestals. Actually, let me get back there again. So this person has... There we go. This person is selling 2 models. Actually, I think they had them as a bundle. And they have right here this cat. And if you click on the cat, you transform into that cat in VR. If you click one of these side buttons here, it will cycle through to the other model. I think the most I saw was 3. I think the biggest, the heaviest pedestal, if you will, was 3 models on one pedestal. And then if you click the middle button, it opened up a mirror. And the mirror let you go into, opened up a mirror on the opposite side of the booth, opposite of the pedestal, so you could take a look at it. Take a look at yourself wearing it. This is a cute model, isn't it? I love the fluffy one. And then details about their product, and then look. You actually are allowed to run a full video performance And they were selling some 2D art as well, or open commissions for. And so they use it to highlight some of their features. In this case, they're really good at making expressions. So they showed that you're allowed to have audio with it too, which was very important for some of the people. There were some voice actors, there were some musicians who were selling their music. There was one person who, good grief, they were actually making in their own anime series. I have a lot of interest in what was going on with them. Let's see. I'm just sort of showing off the general ambiance of the area. Vaporwave stuff. Do I actually get to the one I'm thinking of? I don't think I do. So yeah, this is how the dealer's room works, and by having it unload the video every time that you leave a booth, it stops you from having to load 100 odd videos, right? That would crash just about anybody's headset. You know, like all those models? Nice. And I think this is where more or less where I stop recording. Where do I check out? Okay. Yep, that's it. Cool. So, that is the dealer's den. And it's impressive. It is genuinely impressive to have that robust of a dealer's room in a VR chat setting. I think it's nothing less than fantastic. I truly do. Alright, let me see. Ah, there's exactly what I'm looking for. Thank you, Tori. Shoutouts to Tori Floop for giving me the meetup room pictures that I needed. You don't have any shots of the club or event stage? That's perfect because those are all I had shots of. Give me a second to line these up here. Now, I am actually, you might be surprised to hear this, especially as a streamer, especially if you talk to me online. I'm actually an introvert by nature. I am actually an introvert by nature. I don't usually go out into big public areas. They're scary. People are scary. People are terrifying. Have you met people? Jeez, they're terrifying. But in a convention area, it feels safer. When you're at con, regardless of what con you're at, regardless of whether it's in a business con, an industry convention, or anything in between, people are aligned at a specific viewpoint. You know what I'm saying? People are all familiar with the same thing. Like, if you're going to an anime con, everybody there likes anime. You can strike up a conversation about anime with anybody present at the entire event. And that's cool. That's just cool. That's just straight up cool. And, well, it makes less outgoing people more outgoing. But moreover, it does actually a little bit more than that. Where'd those pictures go? Hold on. I just saved them. Where'd they go? Oh, they're there. Oh, I see. It makes the event more accessible, and this is even accentuated more so in VR, because you have removed an additional barrier of access. The ability to say, I'm out. You've allowed people to say, you know what? I'm not up for doing this anymore, and you can log out at any time. And I will say there was nobody creepy at this event. I didn't find anybody who was creepy. Okay, that might not be entirely true. I think I only saw one or two people who could be construed as creepy. I don't think they were being creepy, but I think that they were. I think that if they were doing the same actions in real life, it would be. Does that make sense? Like coming up and dumping compliments on somebody and petting their head. It's like, yeah, in a VR, that's okay, because if you don't like it, A, you have VR settings where you can disable that, and B, you have the ability to just to log out. If you can never be pinned to the wall and shamed or provoked in a VR world. Not meaningfully. You can, and yes, I do understand that online bullying does work, and just log out is not an acceptable answer. I know that. But the barrier is a lot lower, right? You can just go to another instance. That is in your power. But people were cool. Anyways, this is all to say that people were very cool. So, meetups. They had meetups. I attended a couple of them. They had one for VTubers, which was pretty fun. There were cool people there. And the meetup space was really pretty. The meetup space had this wonderful continuation of the underwater aesthetic. And the same design philosophy of adding little nooks and caves and places that you can hide out in. Here's the main opening area. The one behind it here is a cave area, but it's still a very small room. I don't actually know the capacity of these rooms, of these meetup areas, but it was not terribly high, which made it feel cozier. Now, this meant that they had to have more instances, obviously. They had to have more events. But it works. It just works, people. It just works. Here's a good picture of... This was, I believe, the Vtuber meetup. Shoutouts to everybody in this picture. And yeah, people just getting together and talking. I got some good advice about finding 3D model renderers because, let's be honest, most of my 3D model experience is from game design, and, well, it's good to expand your horizons on that. Here's an overhead view. So if you walk into this area... Well, I need to put this behind things. Not that far down. You come into this area here. You have a nook up here, a plateau that you can talk to. You have a little cave area that I showed off earlier. You have an upper deck area that you can hide up there. You have a couple of little nooks without making the world very big. It still felt cozy. And that's important, right? It's important for it to feel like a place that people can go, well, to be blunt, and still feel comfortable, right? I can tell you how I experienced most of these worlds. There we go. The way I experienced most of these worlds was like this. Wait, there were reeds. They kept the reeds in, and honestly, I really appreciate that they did. I don't know if it's like some ADD thing, or just some animal instinct, or just some, like, introvert thing, but I felt safer when I was standing near the reeds. Like, I don't know if that was just, like, you know, I'm safe from, like, instinctual, natural thing, but I was able to hide in the seagrass. And when I wasn't actively talking to somebody, but I didn't want to leave, I still wanted to be part of a conversation, but I didn't want to talk, I was able to tuck myself into the reeds and just sort of hang out for a bit. It was a good time. Let's see here. What other pictures do I have? That's most of the convention. They also had games, but the games were not impressive. These were just regular VR chat games, except that they were in private lobbies so that you could only access them with other people who were at the convention, which, again, reinforces that same idea of community, right? Everybody here has something in common, therefore everybody in here was going to be similar enough that playing the games together with them might be more engaging than just joining a random public lobby. I like it. I thought this was a good addition. I didn't use it because I didn't care to, frankly. I'm not really impressed by gaming in VR chat. VR chat is a social network, not a gaming network, and it doesn't really work for me as a gaming network. I've gone over my opinions of VR as a gaming platform several times in the past. I can cover them again in the future, probably, so subscribe for that. But that is everything except for the main event stage. The main event stage was not much there. It was just this tiny amphitheater with some stuff in there. But that's the convention, so what was it like? That's everything that was there. Now the question is, what was it like there, right? First of all, once again, shout outs to all the wonderful people who invited me and were willing to spend time with me. That I had a blast, and shout outs to all the cool people there. Now, what did I do? I went to a couple of the meetups, mostly just for the purpose of seeing what they were like and, you know, getting some ideas on the Vtuber meetup for people's commentary about chat rigging stuff. Though there was an interesting thing where I'm at a weird size. Like, I am at a weird size right now. I'm coming up real quick on 1,500 followers. Subscribers. Something that you can contribute to right now, either by sharing the video or what. Sorry, I'm usually bad at that. I'm trying to get better. I'm just usually bad at promoting myself. Anyways, and there was the interesting point, especially in the VR, in the VTuber thing, where it's like I was looked up to as being a near god by some people. And other people I felt were much, much larger than I was. And there's no way of telling, right? It's an even playing field. I don't know these names. I don't follow a lot of furry VTubers. I don't know them. I don't know what they do. I don't know how big they are. So just talking to them, you can just sort of just get a sense, right? You just sort of get a feeling of, hey, this person doesn't know what they're talking about. This other person very clearly does. Like, I'm not calling out anybody in any of these pictures, by the way. I'm just putting up these pictures as B-roll. But it's just the idea of, you know, who is a still level playing field, but as soon as people open their mouth and say, and you can tell, oh, what's their mic rig setup? Oh, how do they, you know, what topics are interesting? Are they talking about, you know, metrics and analytics and channel growth? Or are they talking about, you know, professional level stuff like, like audio configurations and sound mixers? Or are they talking about, you know, base level stuff like I like video game and just trying to, you know, or are they just trying to meet friends? And if someone's just trying to meet a friend, which category are they in? What side, you know, like it's nice. It's nice having everybody on a level playing field. Something that you can't have in any other room. You know, if you're talking with somebody on YouTube, you're one click away from seeing how many subscribers they have. And I don't let that get to me. I have friends with 0 subscribers. I have friends with 30,000, no, 60. Who is my biggest friend? Yeah. That I actually know directly and have collabed with. I guess honestly it would probably be Magus, because he has hundreds of thousands of people who follow his works. But regardless, this is a nice level playing field where people could get together and chat. It was a lot of fun. And I got some good leads, frankly. Yee. There's just a random shot of that area. Streamer Meetup was just a bunch of people streaming, and I intentionally did not stream at all in the convention for multiple reasons. One, too many variables. There were way too many variables in streaming a live event like this, you know? I can't control what other people say. I can't control other people's avatars. Friends, there was one person who had... how do I phrase this? How do I... There was one person who had an avatar wardrobe malfunction. I will not elaborate on this. I'm glad that I wasn't streaming. Because apparently that's a thing. I didn't know that was a thing. I should have guessed. There's no reason I couldn't have guessed. Anyways, so I didn't stream anything at the convention. I swear. Oh, here's another art dealer's den. The same person here who I mentioned before, with the model they made, using a promo code to create a fear of missing out effect, showing off their model and some of the things that it can do. I think this is a very effective use of their dealer's room space. I really do. It shows the model in high resolution and high detail. It shows the additional skins that are options for it. It shows some of the nitty-gritty details that somebody who's actually into modeling and avatar design will appreciate. So I think this person actually did a fantastic job with their booth. I hope they did well. I know one of my friends who, was saying that not everybody who had a booth did very well. Also, there's this guy. Let's talk about Sherbert. I don't know who this person is, but they are apparently they have their own manga already, and they are making their own anime. And these are decent-sized names. This isn't the first online VR convention, is it? No. There's actually 2 more of this same event in previous years. It goes back to 2020. This is the first one that I had heard of. I hadn't heard of it before this, so I have to assume that many other people did not. Many other people also wouldn't have heard of it. These are big names. They got Yamaguchi, who I thought had... I'm gonna call myself out hard if I say that I thought he was retired. Hold on. I gotta look up IMDb. Because what has he done lately? Oh, that's right, he's in One Piece. Duh, never mind. But yeah, this is a person who I've met a few times, nice guy, and is like voicing for this furry manga who is like making their own anime. They got Maria Naganawa fresh out of B&A. B&A was a year ago, and they already landed that name. There has to be something very interesting. I want to know the backstory. I'm not even terribly interested in their manga. I'm not even terribly interested in their anime. I'm more interested in the story behind it. How did this person... Who is this person? What are their connections? I don't know. There's something very interesting going on here. Something very interesting going on there. And yes, you are... Tori is correct. I actually got to meet them. Where's that picture? It's over here somewhere. I don't know where it is. Arikaton. Arikataton? Arikaton portato. It's in here, isn't it? Oh yeah, here it is. Actually, I'll be getting to that in a moment. I did actually meet them and talk to them. They were very polite. I wish I had better pictures of the area, but there was also a very nice after party. This wasn't actually a part of the event itself, but this hotel room is actually a hotel room that I've been to IRL before. Someone took a hotel room from a, where was it? I think it's in Toronto? They took a hotel room from an actual hotel that hosts many conventions, both anime and furry and like, okay, I almost said real, but that's completely wrong. I know this. I've done enough anime convention. Anyways, and professional. That's the word I was looking for. Professional conventions. That I believe I've actually seen this exact hotel room. They took one of the suites in that hotel and modeled it as a room. I don't actually have a lot of good pictures of it. I'm sure Tori will be able to help me out there in just a moment. But it was a neat experience to go there and actually live through the post-con getting together and hanging out with friends and drinking aspect of a convention, which is a thing. Regardless of whether it's this consumer electronics show or an anime convention or anything else, the experience doesn't end at the convention, right? You meet people, you go out and hang out with them, you go up to a hotel room and share a few drinks and hang out. It's just good times. And I actually got to experience that part of this convention as well with Sherbert. Sherbert showed up. Talked to them briefly. I wanted to sit down and talk to them at length about the stuff I was saying about about their connections and we probably know several of the same people. But I didn't because I was not entire... Look, somebody spiked my drink. Sunday night at the convention, somebody spiked my drink. It was me. I spiked my drink. I had some drinks and relaxed. It was a good time. It really was. Let's see, where else? Do I have anything else noteworthy to pull up here? I do want to open this up to questions. Oh yeah, I do want to shout out also. Where's things? Where is... Shoutouts to Shy Kitty. This person was in several of the lobby... was there several times that I went into the lobby areas. And they're an absolute delight. They are mute, but were still able to very clearly convey emotions and expressions. Despite being mute, they were actually able to talk, and participate in conversations. It was actually a really cool thing. Did you know that you can actually put your finger over the lens on in VR chat? It's true. I did not do a good job of things. Okay, I want to open this up. Yeah, non-voice vocals are very expressive, but it's difficult to do in something like VR chat, right? Where some people don't even have motion, where some people don't have any motion at all because they simply exist as on 2D, and other people have full body tracking. There's a wide disparity between that, and I find that very fascinating, the way that some people have adapted to it, right? Somebody who doesn't even have a mic is able to communicate effectively. I want to open this up to questions. If anyone has any questions about the con, I will gladly answer them. Yeah, I think that's going to be the plan for the rest of it. This is mostly what I wanted to talk about. I want to talk about the convention itself and how things do. Hold on. Okay. Did I have fun? I did. This felt more real than any other. Well, not than any other. Than the last two conventions. Than every post-COVID convention that I've been to. This felt more real because of the atmosphere, Tuzzy. Because of the atmosphere and the general experience, it felt more like I was going out with friends and connecting with people than the last couple of actual cons where everybody was reserved, everybody was masked up and 6 feet apart, and frankly nervous. The last two conventions I went to were both in America, and people felt on edge, and I don't know if that's just a cultural thing now in America. I feel like it might be, and that's kind of sad. Or if it was, yeah, or if it was just the tone of those events of people not being sure if it was okay to go back into the world yet, you know, people not being sure if it was okay to return to an actual IRL convention space. I suspect that it's somewhere between. I suspect that the answer to that is somewhere in between those, and I don't know which is the case, and frankly, I have some concerns about that in general. Oh yeah, here's another place. We did karaoke after the event as well. How did my drink get spiked if it was in VR? I spiked it myself, Sapphire. I spiked it myself. If you do not have a VR headset, you can play as if it were a first-person shooter, and actually, I believe you can see some people in here who are there. You can actually sort of tell which people are in their default pose. Like this person. Oh, let me get this in the right locale. Nope, not too low. You can actually see. Here's me vibing. Here's somebody who's actually just sitting down IRL. Here's somebody just, sitting and holding their controllers. You can see their from body language, and you can see this person right here. I don't remember who this was, but this person right here is in a stock pose. You don't get T-posed, but you do get stock posed. And that's all. And it's usually pretty obvious because they move around with going through just general run cycle animations as opposed to actually walking. And I went through run cycle animations, but had animated hands, and other people had animated everything. So you genuinely did not need to be in VR. And that's really interesting to me. Imagine if they were all T-posing. That would be amazing, actually. As to the other question of who would I suggest this convention for? Now, there's two answers to that. One, this is a convention for furries. Let's not pretend that it ain't. This is a convention for furries, but moreover, I would recommend this to anybody who runs or organizes conventions. If you run or organize a convention, or are some sort of thought leader on a hotel and organization board, or if you are work in theme parks, if you're a theme park designer, those are all people who I think would benefit from this because they're using the same principles. They're using the principles of this convention space, extrapolating the stuff from the convention space that worked, and giving you a space to look at and consider, right? There was a lot going on here from a design perspective. So I would recommend, a convention, and maybe not this one. I assume there's more of these. I know that I found out from this one that there were 2 more of these events going back to 2020, and I have to assume that there's more of these events in general. There has to be more of these events, and I'm going to try and look for an anime con and see what it's like. I'm going to try and look for a gaming con and see how it's like. Oh, one thing that's very funny, they did have a merch store, like an IRL merch store, where you could buy things. And before the convention, they offered an immersion spray, which I find absolutely hilarious, because it was just perfume. It was just a bottle of perfume designed to smell like a mellow undersea area. I didn't buy it. I didn't care about it. But I love the concept of that, because scent is a very important trigger for sensation, for memory, for location. And if you know your smell of your normal area, it can be hard to get out of yourself. It can be hard to get out of your own shell. I sometimes burn incense if I want to change the mood of the room, but this was actually just a straight up offering of, hey, everybody's going to be smelling the same thing. It's like, okay, that's a cool idea. That's a really cool concept. I think it was like under $10 including shipping too. I could be wrong about that. I didn't actually buy it, so I didn't look into it too hard. But it wasn't like terribly expensive, and it was just a genuine bottle of perfume. What would be the minimum amount needed for a VR event? Not in people, but as in areas or events. That's an outstanding question. I think that you need, at minimum, one lobby area. And it has to be decent size-wise. You have to have a good lobby. You could theoretically merge meetups into a separate instance of lobby if you wanted to run a meetup and a lobby in the same instance area. But I feel like having a separate meetup area is a good idea, just because it gives you... it makes it feel different to the attendees, right? Events, not really necessary. Dealer's Den, I think, is necessary depending on the event, right? Functionally, something like Consumer Electronics Show or E3, everybody is a dealer's room. Functionally, everyone has a booth that is effectively a dealer's room. I can't think of any major event that actually doesn't have a dealer's room. So I think you need a dealer's room, and you have to manage it well, right? Go back in the video and watch what I said about the dealer's room, because that's earth-shatteringly important. Absolutely earth-shatteringly important to have a effective dealer's room that doesn't lag everybody who walks into it. If it's a non-industry event, that is to say, if it's for a group of niche people, furries, anime gamers, Trekkies, Star Wars, whatever is nowadays, you might want to have a club. And you can probably get DJs very easily because you're promoting them, right? Hey, if you come here, you will probably get an extra 1,000 followers. That would be enough to sell me. So if you, however, of course, if you have a professional event like Consumer Electronics Show or like a E3 before it became a public event, guys, yo, remind me to talk about that someday. I will have opinions. Or a trade show, if you go, or a marketing meeting, you don't need a club. Obviously, it doesn't help you. But I think it would be a good idea to spend the effort on a club if you are doing a customer-facing convention, I guess you could call it. Dealer's Den is critical. Lobby is critical, because lobby is A, how you present your event and the first experience that most people have, and B, the place where a majority of people are going to go just to hang out, just to be with people. A meetup space might not be bad. An event space might not be bad. But though event space does not need to be... They really phoned in the event space. If there was one space that was here that was phoned in, it was the event space. It was just an amphitheater. It was quite literally a backdrop, a big screen to show main events programming, and a couple of rows of seating. It's fine. It worked well. It worked great for what they were doing. And the question there is, does your event need a main programming? You might be able to fold main programming into the lobby. You might be able to fold up meetings into the lobby, meetups into the lobby if you plan on having meetups. Though honestly, I think meetups are simultaneously more important in VR than they are IRL, because IRL meetups are either just organic of people meeting up around areas and saying, "Hey, what's up?" or very controlled. Like at an industrial thing, a meetup section is quite literally a back room where you sign contracts with companies, right? That's what a meetup functionally is in an industry convention. You know, the meetup space is more, hey, I like your product, I'd like to order 10,000 units. That's what the meetup space is for, as opposed to, hey, you like birds, I like birds, let's talk about birds, you know? So, the meetup space will vary based on what you're using it for. Depending on what kind of event you have, meetup space could be a part of the lobby, or a separate instance of the lobby, or it could be its entire own breakout area. So what do you need minimum to run a convention? You need a dealer's room, you need a lobby. You could technically get away with that depending on how big you wanted it, how big of a convention you had, what your scope was. If you don't have a dealer's room, people aren't going to show up, right? A lot of people aren't going to bother showing up if you don't have a dealer's room. And I suspect that a club area is going to be very good for, depending on your audience, right? You should know going into it what your target audience wants. The game room isn't necessary, but mostly because of VR chat. I think a game room is more important in an IRL convention. If you're at a tabletop gaming convention, yeah, you need to have a bunch of tables set up for people to play, right? I guess that's the other kind of convention that I've been to several times is gaming conventions, where tabletop gaming conventions, as well as video gaming, tabletop gaming conventions. That's going to have a lot of this, but in VR, you're probably not going to have this, partially because people can't bring their own models, and that's going to be a big damper on the ability to play. Maybe I'm wrong on this. If there's a good way in VR chat to play a tabletop game, like a miniatures game, hey, you might have a brilliant idea. But I think that this is one of the last things that you would worry about, followed by events. And I think that it starts with Dealer's Den, Lobby, Club if applicable, then Meetups if it fits your scope, and then events and gaming. And then beyond this, the next question, of course, obviously the next question is what else did they not have that I think they could have added? And I think for that, it would be like a secondary lobby. I think you could have actually gotten away with a separate lobby or actually Tori just nailed it immediately, or a LARP area. If it's some sort of geek convention, if it's like, Star Trek, Star Wars, Dungeons and Dragons, or something like that, you might actually want a separate area specifically for role-playing. You might want to have a specific role-play area. Furries seem to have at least a weird interaction with LARPing, in the sense that some of them are literally LARPing all the time and always talking in an in-character voice, and others of them are never LARPing and are always just being themselves, except wearing some weird, some interesting clothing. So I feel like they didn't need it here, because functionally the lobby functioned as the LARP if people were in the mood to LARP. But for a gaming convention, for a Trekkie convention, for a Star Wars or other convention like that, maybe even anime, because those are usually pretty popular at IRL anime conventions, I would recommend having a dedicated RP lobby. And if you're going to do that, it might want to be a separate thing. 90% of furry VTubers are just being themselves. Fair enough. Hello, Cretin. Let's see here. And as far as events goes, you want to go 24 hours. You absolutely want to have a 24-hour schedule because you want to appeal to an international audience. I met people in Australia who were just getting up, who were just waking up and being like, hey, I just got up. How's things going? And I'm just sitting here going, my dude, it is late for me. So I think that as far as events go, you need to have 24 hours worth of events. The dealer's room doesn't need events, obviously. The events section, but you can run meetups 24 hours, right? They could have doubled up on meetups all day long. They could have had 2 more VTuber meetups and they both would have been full. They could have had another meetup for any of the given species meetups that they had, and they would have had a solid population of people, because people can't attend all the time. Again, time zones. The people who were attended during the morning for some of the events couldn't attend later. So backing them up and saying, hey, we have a secondary event. We have a secondary streamers meetup. I didn't get to the streamers meetup because I was streaming. I was actually streaming, so I was like, oh, I missed it. Apparently it wasn't great. Whatever. But if they had another streamers meetup, I think that would have been good. I think that would have been a good addition. So you need 24 hours worth of scheduled meetups to fit the convention space, but you can double down on things by just repeating them, right? Says people in different time zones. If you have a lot of European viewers or a lot of Southeast Asian viewers, you can double down on some of your events. Any other things that I think they were missing? That's actually a really interesting question. An RP lobby for some events would have been good. If you're doing this for a professional event, you will need a much easier way of giving contact info. I think this could work for an industry event, something like, a sales and marketing team, or real estate. Actually, I think real estate would have been very effective in real estate convention meetup would have been very effective. A realtors meetup, but that of course has some flaws inherent to it because most realtors might not have VR chat, which means they'd be installing it for the first time for the event, which means you need a better way of having contact information. You need to be able to friend somebody in VR chat and then get their business card sent to your email by default or something like that, right? Furry real estate. Sure, why not? Hey, if you do, honestly, you could do an IT technology convention, and it would just overlap with 90% of the same people who are here. We all know that the internet is like the backbone of the internet, and is run by furries, right? We all understand this. So, what else? Is there anything else that would have been of strong benefit to a convention space like this? And again, hit me up with other questions that you have. I am here for Q&A now. I think that a better gaming room would have been effective, or at least a gaming lobby. I don't know if you can portal. If you could portal a private room into your bot, like you can see in this quote-unquote map how these theoretically overlap. If there was a door from lobby to main events, and if you click on the door it sends you an invite to main events, I think that would have been very neat. I don't know how that could have done that on the back end, but I feel like it could have been an option, right? I feel like they could have slotted in an API into a door frame and then made the world feel more connected. They made it feel connected by recurring themes, the same seaweed, the same underwater aesthetic, the same cave regions in here. I think it worked very well. But I also think that they could have interconnected the worlds more directly, if that makes sense. So, again, Q&A if anyone has questions. Yeah, the suspiciously wealthy furry thing isn't a big mystery anymore. Yeah, it's IT. It's IT moguls, always. I hope it doesn't increase in price. Now, that's one interesting question. I mean, how much money they made is pretty obvious, right? I don't know how much their overhead was, but you can very easily say, oh, they had 15,000 attendees, they charged $15 a head. You can pretty easily see what their down is, you know, or what their gross is. But that said, there's also a lot of good design work put into this. So I think that the scalability of it works in their favor, right? $15 a head is reasonable, right? That's a very reasonable price. Most IRL conventions are hundreds in some cases, and you know, I think 60 is like an average 3-day pass for many conventions. And industry conventions like Consumer Electronics Show can easily go up to in the hundreds. I actually get mine for free because of reasons. but yeah. And of course, there's tiered pricing as well. I don't know how many of those people. I'm saying 15 at 15K baseline. I don't know how many people got the higher end pricing. I don't know how many people bought and didn't attend. That's also a thing that happens fairly often. People pre-veg and then they weren't able to attend. Because you lucky? No, it's because I've been attending for so long. I've been attending the Consumer Electronics Show in capacity for various game development companies and gaming companies forever. That actually was a prerequisite for one of my last positions was, hey, I'm going to go to CES on behalf of the company. Cool. Because I know CES and I know how to make sure that people can get hardware and software information that they need. And last year I streamed it. And I'll stream it next year too, most likely. Yeah, I'm definitely going to do my CES recap next convention season. Another call for questions. Q&As. Seeing as this is a furry con, do you think the price next year will be due to inflation? Is that... I didn't... Is that... Why we're here? Is that why we're talking about the price? Jack, why are you like this? Explain yourself. Okay. Anyways... I swear. I need water. Oh. Do I want you to... No! No, I want you to exactly stop explaining it. I want the opposite of what you just said. I want the opposite of that. Okay, well, if you're new here, I do a lot of game development streams as well as design streams, as well as a lot of just playing video games and looking at it from an experience of someone who's in the industry. Since it's online, does it decrease the amount needed to run such a convention? Yes. Absolutely yes. Now, I'm also going to say at the same time no. But the answer is yes, but also no. It depends how much your staff can do. If you are going to be renting a convention space, you are looking at, 5 digits worth of overhead, even for a small convention. Even for a small convention, you are probably looking at 5 digits worth of overhead. Possibly 6 for a large industry one. Not likely. Not likely. I'm just talking just the biggest ones there. But you're looking at 5 digits of overhead for a well-sized convention of again 15 to 30,000 people is my benchmark for a good-sized convention. So that is going to run a lot in hotel fees. That's going to run a lot in space rental. It's going to cost a lot in advertising and marketing, which is actually something you're going to have to is going to be here as well. In this, you need to hire professional level designers. And skilled ones at that. You want to hire professional level designers and skilled ones at that, so that the area feels immersive. Even if it's an industry convention, it should feel immersive. So while you're not spending the money while you're not spending $300 per room for an internet drop, in addition to the fees for renting out the space, you will find other hidden fees. Plus, you have a much harder to set up bot, which will either cost you money or man hours, take your pick. And you will live or die based on that bot. The invitation system ran virality, and that bot was impeccable. That was incredibly well designed, and if it broke, then the entire convention is gone. There is risk there. So I think that the overhead for this is going to be cheaper than an IRL convention, but you should think of it in the same scope. You should think of it in the same scope because you should be spending a lot more on the design and on the bot and on the back end than you would on a regular convention. So don't think of it as being cheaper. Think of it being as a different allocation of resources, right? Because you need to have all these up the entire time. You need to have all of your hosting up. You need to have all of your hosting for the individual dealers' rooms in the video space. You need to make sure I assume that you cut a deal with VRChat, and I don't know if that cost them money. I do not know if they set up if they had a monetary payout to VRChat to be allowed to host this, or maybe some extra API licensing options. Maybe they did. I don't know. But there's enough going on here that simultaneously the answer is yes and no. But your reach is greater, right? Instead of reaching out to just people who are within 500 kilometers or 50, 200 kilometers realistically for a smaller convention, you're not going to get much more reach than that if you're running a small convention. If you're running a big convention, yeah, you can have people coming in from literally all over the world. You have people flying in for PAX from any country in the world. But if you're talking about a smaller scale convention, you have reach in this that you wouldn't have in in another small scale convention, right? If you have a 5,000 person convention, that's a decent sized convention IRL. But with the ability to reach the whole globe, you should be able to pull excellent numbers once this gets more mainstream. And to re-answer Jack Shadows, now that we're in a COVID age, do you think cons will transfer to a more online space? And I think so. This was genuinely eye-opening to me. If I didn't have friends who are in the furry communities, I wouldn't have known about this. And I didn't know about this for the past couple of years. This has been a thing. And I think that this can and should become more mainstream. I think that this will not replace conventions, not supplant conventions, but I think that these will augment conventions because it's a cheaper overhead for the attendee, right? You're spending $15 for a badge as opposed to, 60 to 200. You're spending $0 on a hotel room because you're going it from home. You are spending, all in all, you are spending just what you already own, right? If you already own a headset, you're in, and you don't even need a headset. So I think for a lot of spaces, we will see a transfer to this. I will talk more about the pros and cons of VR and why it's not getting an industry foothold right now, because I have a lot of opinions and failed projects in the VR space. And I have very strong opinions about why VR has been circling the drain as opposed to ascending to the skies. But that aside, I think that this is going to become more important in the future. The super short version, I'll do an entire breakdown of this in the future, and I think I might even already have in the past. But the short version is that VR headset prices are not going down. I have a Gen 1 Vive. I got it 4 years ago. It cost me less than a Gen 1 Vive would cost me right now if I bought it new. The reason VR is not growing the way it should be is for video cards, in gaming in general. For video cards, not counting the Bitcoin stuff. For video cards, you buy a video card, 2 years later, that video card is cheaper. If you could spend $1,000 on a video card, sure, easily done. But 3 years from now, that VR, that video card is going to be $100. Then it'll be $75, and it'll still be just as strong. If VR headsets followed the same economic pattern as video cards, again, not counting Bitcoin boom, that was a unique event, then an older headset, a Gen 1 Rift or an old Gen 1 Vive should still be being made at cheaper prices, and it should be selling for a couple hundred. You should be able to buy a VR-ready video card. NVIDIA 1070 will run VR decently, and that is like $130 right now? How much is that? I know it's not that expensive. Oh, really? 1070 is still going for 300? Oh my gosh. Okay, I guess. Alright, was it the 1060 I was thinking of? That's one. The GTX 1060 sells for $160 and will handle VR. If the price of a VR headset had gone down in tandem with the price of that video card, then you'd be able to buy a VR headset and a VR-ready video card for the same price as a new console. You would be able to drop $400 to $500 and have VR and a VR-ready video card for your computer and be good to go. That didn't happen, and VR headsets have only gone up in price. That's why VR is not getting a foothold, is because it's not economically effective to develop for VR because not enough people have headsets. It's not economically effective for people to buy more headsets because there's not enough games for VR. And you have a catch-22. People aren't making games for VR because the headsets are not hitting market saturation. Headsets are not hitting market saturation because there's not enough games for them. And the linchpin of this, as much as I want to blame Oculus for its walled garden, as much as I want to blame the Oculus walled garden for this, I can't. Because the reason is hardware level. The reason is just hardware level. Price needs to come down on VR. We need cheap VR headsets. We need more Quests. We need more, what's the Gear VR. We need Gear VR with a PC connection. We need cheap VR headsets that will just push sales, and those sales will in turn be returned through more adoption rates, through the adoption rates. Okay, that's my tangent. That's the short version. Trust me, I could go on that for hours. You think furries will save VR? That's possible. That is genuinely possible. There are some things that where a small set of people can push. I mean, look up what made people pick Blu-ray over HD DVD. I'll give you a hint. I can't talk about it on the channel. That is almost exclusively the reason that Blu-ray won. So the idea that, you know, furries are going to save VR in the same vein, honestly, I could see it. Or maybe it's going to be the same answer. Maybe it's the same group. I don't know. I could actually see that too. That could be very realistic. Quest 2 has sold 50 million-ish. Okay, fair enough. What are some of the non-obvious differences between industry and non-industry cons? Intent. That's really what it is. It's intent. You go to an industry convention with your job, and are there to, yeah, get a behind. I mean, like an industry convention is about networking, is about meeting people, and is about seeing products, and is about making business connections, right? It's about making connections with people about product lines, usually. Whether that product line is talking to investors of different companies, or talking to venture capitalists who are looking for things to invest in, or whether it's a rug convention where somebody is selling wholesale rugs and you own a rug store, so you go to the rug convention and say, hey, that's pretty good. What's your price for 300 units? Or you go to a technology convention and say, hey, if you put my company's name on that, I will buy 10,000 units. And the other guy says, hey, you can put your name on this, but you'll have to translate the documentation into English on your own dime. And you say, hey, sign me up for 10,000 units over the course of 3 months on a staggered delivery cycle. That's that's why you go to it. You don't have casual congoers. You don't have casual people there. Everybody there is for inside the industry. And that's what E3 used to be. People always treated E3 as a non-industry convention back when it was an industry convention. People were like, oh, why are they just talking about, like, profitability and bottom lines, and why aren't people, like, showing off new games? It's like, because it's E3. It's an investors conference. They're talking to the stockholders, not to the gamers. But eventually the gamers got so mad that E3 morphed into a actual non-industry convention, which honestly the industry side of E3 just sort of replaced itself with more investor meetups. Like, there are still the actual E3 is still going on. It's just not for customer facing anymore. I haven't been to an E3 since it became a non-industry convention, but I have been to one when it was an industry convention, and it's nothing like what I've seen from it now. Now it's just spectacle. Now it's just an anime con with video games. But E3 used to be a bunch of guys in suits wondering if they should spend $10,000 on licensing an intellectual property. E3 industry realized they could make more money making it a huge advertising event. Yeah, and advertising is such a big part of the gaming industry that honestly, it probably was the right choice. Probably. Anyways, yeah, so that's the differences there. People go to non-industry cons because they want to hang out with people and meet people with similar interests. People go to industry conventions because they want to improve their company and they want to get detailed information. You know, when I go to CES, I'm coming back from that with a detailed knowledge of the workings of new technologies that may enter the gaming market space, right? I'm seeing fans and processors before anybody else is. I'm seeing controllers and peripherals that don't exist yet. I'm meeting with executives at Tobii eye tracking software and thinking, hey, can I convince my boss to get Tobii eye tracking set up for this game, right? And sometimes it works. You know, sometimes you go, okay, cool, we'll set this up, and and somebody with who has a laptop with integrated Tobii eye tracking or has bought a Tobii adapter will be able to target things by looking at them, and that's awesome. Depending on the game, that's actually a really good way of managing the game. But then you weigh it with, is the amount of time of integrating the API, licensing the software, and the man hours spent coding for that worth the amount of people who own Adobe eye tracking software? And I thought the answer was going to be higher. I genuinely did think that eye tracking software was going to become more popular than it was. I was wrong on that front. I'll admit it. I was just straight up wrong on how popular eye tracking was going to be. Though honestly, eye tracking integration into VR, I've seen that. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. Like, there is a inherent fallibility to VR in control systems because you are limited by your own physical movement, right? If you've ever played a shooter game in VR, you will understand that it's harder to aim in VR than it is to aim in on your cursor. Like, it's just straight up harder. And eye tracking fixes that. Eye tracking adds so much to it. Like, the adding eye tracking into a VR setting solves one of the biggest control scheme issues in VR. And then the index solves the other half of that. Oh, and for expression, yeah, sure. No, I'm thinking more from a development standpoint of, like, you know, flagging NPCs and picking up items. But yeah, in terms of presentation as well, for something like in going into VR chat and having it set up to track eyes the way that I'm tracking eyes for my mocap avatar now. What kind of dev team does VR chat have? Do you think they can integrate one-click purchasing for cons like this? You see a booth, cool avatar, click and purchase. I don't think that they would integrate click and purchase, because then that would mean that they are responsible for all of the credit card processing. And I don't think that they want to be. I don't think they want to be responsible for credit card processing. I really don't. Call it a hunch. That said, yeah, they might want to do it to take a price of the purchase. Maybe. I think it's more likely that the dev team integration from VR chat would be less on the sales side and more on the marketing side, right? I think that would be more, hey, here's a program that you can download that will send you into this convention that is just a instance of VR chat that exclusively connects to that convention. You know, here's your convention downloader, which would let you integrate APIs directly into the convention in a more efficient and more direct manner. So I think that there is definite value in the VR chat team straight up making a department that handles this, because I think that there's a lot you can do with that. But I don't think it's going to be on the sales side. I think it's going to be on the back end and integrations, convention integration side, right? If even in Ferality, I had to manually copy my friends list from VR chat into Ferality, which was a hassle. That I shouldn't have had to handle if VR chat was more open with their APIs. And I think that they might do that if this becomes more popular. They might set up APIs to encourage this and to set up integrate this better, you know? Pardon me. Like, I couldn't actually join a friend in VR chat. If I was in VR chat and I had a friend who was also in Ferality in VR chat, I couldn't just click to join their lobby, because all the lobbies are private, because that's how they check registration. You have to join them by going into the website and clicking on friends, and then going into their room that way. So there's an extra hurdle there that doesn't need to be there if the VR chat team was willing to adjust their backend to encourage and work with this. How does VR chat make their money? They have a subscription service. You can get VR chat Plus or VR chat Arena. I forget what it's called, but they have a subscription service available. And I imagine that for a lot of people who use VR chat a lot, that's worth it to them. It increases the amount of stuff you can upload, increases the amount of avatars that you can have logged on your account, which is currently set at 25 avatars. Which I'll be straight up honest with you. I have 25 avatars logged, and I was removing and adding avatars all the convention, because I have like 20 or so avatars in VR chat that I like to keep either for game dev or just personal interactions, just anime characters and stuff that I just like talking to people with. And I just kept on finding avatars. I'm like, ooh, neat, shiny, ooh, cool. He's like, I want to try this out. And yeah, so I imagine that they're getting a decent. And that is also, to their benefit, because if they're doing that, then attendees are more likely to purchase VRChat Plus. So there's a positive feedback loop there. There's a Sanrio con a while ago. I will need to look into that. I need to look into more of these VRChat conventions because I am enthralled by the concept of them. I genuinely am. Kept turning into dad bod sharks that could summon hot tubs. That actually was an interesting thing. There were no restrictions on what your avatar could do. And I think that was actually a flaw. As much fun as it was in the way we were using it, there were other people who were abusing it. So in VRChat, you can make your avatar, and you make your avatar in Unity, and you can add your own shaders. You can add your own custom shaders into VRChat. And there are people who use this power for evil. There is an avatar that does the opening of Half-Life. There are avatars that do sound alerts that are aggressively painful. There are avatars that do global sound alerts that are not sourced, i.e. everybody in a certain radius just hears a voice in their ear that is not sourced from another avatar, which is disconcerting. There are avatars that get big enough that they warp reality. There are avatars that straight up warp reality. There are avatars that flood areas with light so that nobody can see. There are avatars that are corrupted and can crash you out of the game. I saw a couple of the mild corruptions ones, the ones where you can't see anything, where when somebody had an avatar, they would warp and distort the area around them so that you could not see anything for 5 seconds, and then you had to find them and flag them and block them before. I think they should have had more restrictions on it. Now, one thing that was fun is that some of these avatars do awesome things. You can have avatars that have guns. You have avatars that have arrows that actually shoot arrows out in reality. You have avatars that have pens and pencils so that you can draw. Like a lot of them are benign. By allowing you to do anything, you also allow people to do everything. So a lot of them are great, but you can make an argument in general that avatars should be more moderated in what they could do. But you need to be more specific in virality or in an online convention about what avatars can and can't do. Because then someone doing that isn't just messing up a public lobby, right? At that point, they're no longer just messing with people in a public lobby and trolling. Now they are actively hurting your other convention goers. They're hurting your con guests. And that's not good. One might even say it's bad. So that's one note. And the reason that this is brought up is because one of our friends had the shark avatar that could summon a hot tub. So we would just kind of summon the hot tub in an area and hang out in it, and it was actually a blast. It added a lot. It added a little level of comfort, even in the rooms that had hot tubs. We would just add a hot tub and chill in it. And I thought that was very cool. But it also left the door open for people who wanted to become... 50-meter tall monstrosities that, and I get some furries are into that, so whatever. But when someone's, is that scale, it breaks the lobby, it breaks the game. It breaks the experience for other attendees, is basically what it boils down to. I'm going to be right back. If there's no more Q&A questions, by the time I get back, we'll probably wrap things up. So one moment, please. Hey, you. I will say there were surprisingly few kobolds there. There was very few kobolds. I would have expected more. I genuinely expected a legion. I actually did go to the dragon slash scaly slash Nargacuga for some reason meetup, and I was literally the only kobold there. I was genuinely shocked. I just don't understand why Nargacugas were a big thing. Like, Nargacuga is just a random monster hunter enemy. It's just monster hunter dragon. They look cool. They're cool design. I love them. I love the style of them. It was just weird that that was one of the big popular things instead of, like, there was some, like, cats. There was weirdly few cats. What was my favorite model at the con? That is an excellent question. And let me pull up the individual because I got screenshots. I don't have great. Okay, this person on the right. The detailing in her model, the detailing in all the clothing on the model was exquisite. I actually found out who did their clothing design, and I'm going to hire them for a game dev project in the future. Their outfit was incredible. Their motion capture was exquisite. They had it set up so that when they wave their heads, their ears moved naturally. Her skirt actually rustled while still staying in place. There was never anything explicit about it. It was just very, very well made. So that was probably the most impressive model that I saw, or at least one of. And then the one that I showed off earlier in the reel. Where is it? Hold up. The other one was this one. The texturing is actually very subtly effective. There's a lot of fine detail in the texture. It's not just a flat white. A lot of people had flat colors in their models. And yeah, the expression work reads well. It reads very effectively without being too over the top. It's not cartoony per se, despite being very cartoony, right? It reads as, it presents well. And come on, like, look at that smirk. Isn't that fantastic? It's fantastic. I love it. So that was probably my other favorite model there. Apart from that, probably that one cyberbird that I showed off a couple times earlier. I thought that one was very cool. I liked that one. From an organizational standpoint, were there any trends that didn't pan out? A certain thing that people tried adding to the cons that con attendees weren't really interested in? This is the only one of these events I've been to, so I can't compare this as effectively as I would otherwise like to. I think that party system was not working well, and I think that the friends list section did not work well. The friends list section required you to either copy paste from a third-party website or a second-party website, in this case VRChat. You either had to copy from a second-party website to get your friends list working as opposed to naturally integrating, or you had to meet people and sign up for them at con and by giving a party link that required you to go into a browser. Both of these things should ideally have been handled integrated into the worlds. I have to assume it wasn't possible. I have to assume that it should be possible, right? It doesn't seem like that hard of an API adjustment. I'm not certain exactly what you mean by trends, though. A certain thing that people tried adding to the cons and connies that the con attendees weren't interested in. Like I said, this is their this is their Xth event, more than two. I think it was 3. I don't think that I didn't have a lot of interest in the games, but that's me, right? I don't know if they were popular because I didn't go to them. I don't know if the main events were popular because I didn't attend most of them. I don't know how popular the club is because, well, when I was at the club, there were people there, but I don't know how many instances there were of each one. You know what I'm saying? Because of the instancing patterns. Oh, you mean in general conventions? Oh. That is a very good question that's going to get a little bit more in-depth that I was intending on getting into on this stream. Short answer is yes. The short answer is I have seen convention trends both be adopted and fail, and it really depends on what type of convention it is. If it's an industry convention, or if it is an anime convention, or if it's whatever it is. But yeah, something like the main events area at a tabletop gaming convention. Everyone's going there for tabletop gaming and to buy tabletop miniatures. No one cares about the main events at a tabletop gaming convention. So that's one example, you know. But they always, you know, they still try to have it because they want to have a welcoming. They want to have a welcoming ceremony. They want to have a closing ceremony. They want to have big interviews with the developers. You want to get, you know, Will Pagani up on stage and ask him questions about stuff. And well, no one cares about Will anymore. Will? No, I'm sorry. Will Hunger. Which one's Hungerford? Which one's Hungerford? Hold on. Yeah, it is. Isn't it Will? Yeah, it is Will Hungerford. Yeah, a cool guy. Love him. Don't get me wrong, but he doesn't draw a crowd at a event ceremony. He genuinely is a cool guy. I went out to dinner with him, and we talked for a while after an event. But he's not going to draw an event space crowd at a tabletop gaming convention, even though he is basically one of the brainchilds of some of the biggest tabletop game stuff around, and is literally working for Fantasy Flight now. Like, Fantasy Flight is he's a fascinating person, but he's not going to pull a crowd. No one's going to pull a crowd at a tabletop gaming convention. Likewise, main programming is extraordinarily popular at an anime convention. Because at an anime convention, the main programming is where everybody is introduced to guests, where there's a big, you know, pizzazz and shiny sparkles everywhere. We have fireworks set up for when HoloLive comes on stage. Like, at an anime convention, main programming is one of your biggest sections, arguably the single biggest after the dealer's room, but I've talked about dealer's room before. So it really depends on the specific convention, right? Because, yeah. And an anime convention doesn't need a lobby, because you just will naturally have a lobby, because people will just find a quote-unquote lobby wherever there is one. They will just, you know, reach out into the nearby restaurants and shopping malls and hotels, and that will be your lobby. You don't need to organize a lobby; it just exists. Whereas in an online space, that lobby is, like I said, the most important thing. Or if you're in an industry convention, your lobby area is going to be also fairly important, because that's where you're going to be having big interviews. At PAX, the lobby area is crucial, as is the events programming. But meetups are less popular at those places because or anime conventions don't need have a lot of meetups, or if they do, they're not official. They're just meetups of people getting together rather than actual, like, you know, big sanctioned events. It's just, hey, a bunch of people are meeting out by the eastern door at 3 o'clock. They all like Homestuck. You'll see a lot of Homestuck cosplayers there at 3 o'clock outside the East Gate. All the Homestucks, and everybody else runs. Look, I have stories, okay? There are multiple instances, yeah. And can I tell you about Homestuck? No. I refuse to tell you about Homestuck. When did that was a while ago. I think Luna and I actually had a stream where we talked about Homestuck and the Homestuck fandom. Jack, no. Jack, yes. Okay. thank you all for joining. I think this is a good stopping point before we start talking about Homestuck. Now is exactly the time we end the stream before anything about Homestuck is elaborated upon. In summary, I had a blast. This was a wonderful event, and it was really eye-opening to imagine what else can be done with the concept. And that's every bit as important as the event itself was. The presentation showed me the possibilities of the design space. Does that make sense? The presentation of the convention showed me what can be done in this field, what can be done with this type of format and with this type of event. So while I did have a blast, both with friends and random people who I met, while I had an absolute delightful time with all the people there, it was also at the same time, simultaneous to that, a very interesting experience just on its surface level, just on its face value level of walking in there and seeing what could be done, what was possible. I'm absolutely going to go to the next one. I'm going to see if there's any more events, or if I assume there's going to be another type of a reality style event. And I hope that there's others of these events for other industries, or not even industries, but for other fields, for other topics, I guess is a good way of phrasing it. And I think I might have signed up to help organize one of them on Sunday. I don't remember. I had a couple of drinks, but that's not the point. I'm like 30% sure I signed up to be on staff for one of these. Which, look, I've got to stop signing up to be on staff for conventions one of these days. I won't, but I should. I'm pretty sure we both did, Tori. I'm pretty sure we both did. Yeah, and you know what? I hope I do. Okay. I think we're gonna call it here. I hope you all had a good time. Clip the video and promote me on social media. That's really the best thing I can hope from you. Like, part of me wants to yell, you know, yo, tell your friends and family about me, but at the end of the day, I just need promotion. YouTube isn't promoting my videos this month, and I'm sad about it. Ever since the Game Jam ended, YouTube has been very lax in promoting my videos, and it's actually been kind of rough. So, yeah. I hope you have a wonderful time, and I'll see you again real soon. Cheers, friends.